Raised in the Underground. Written by Social Nobody. Read by The Viridian Ghost. This is part 2 of the fic. Let's get into it. 4. Snipe had called for weapons training. It made sense. The kiddos need some experience with it. Does anyone have any previous firearm safety? He asked first. Having models always made a good help for teaching the other kiddos, after all. Momo was unsurprisingly raising her hand. Sarah was more surprising, but he supposed it made sense. The kid needed a lot of precision for his ability. No, the wild card was Midoriya Izuku. The talk of the teacher's lounge since Yamada's sparring match. The man would freeze up and clamor whenever anyone asked about it, meaning no one knew what happened in that room. However, the large bite mark that had pervaded his skin for several days gave a hint. They tried to ask Yagi, who brushed them off. It was just a training session. It was strange. It felt like things kept getting stranger. Can you tell me the cardinal gun rules? All three raised their hands. Midoriya. Never aim at something you don't intend to kill. Treat all guns as if they're loaded. Always keep your finger off the trigger unless you're ready to shoot. And always know what's behind your target and what's inside your target. He listed off. Snipe paused. You're not wrong, but you're a bit off kilter, kiddo. He coughed. You don't aim at anything you don't want to shoot. And you don't need to know what's inside your target. The boy looks at him as if he's the stupid one. If you shoot someone in the wrong place, they'll die instantly, Sensei. Knowing what you're shooting, or whoever you're shooting, and where the vital organs are, it's essential. You know not to shoot the head, but there are several danger spots throughout the torso too. He raises one hand and points at 2 spots on his chest, one over his heart, the other on the exact opposite side. Never shoot these spots. You might hit a heart if someone has an inverted circulatory system. You should also avoid things like listening to the boy ramble in front of the class about where not to shoot a person, a living, breathing person, left Snipe shaken enough that the boy ended up just talking over his class. Snipe could hand it to the boy. He could expertly wield a gun, assemble one too, disassemble as well. Oh, this one's a beauty. It's a real good one to learn on, he chirped to his utterly stunned class. It's a Mossberg MC1 SC. It's just a basic handgun. It's a 9mm pistol and a lightweight. He disassembled it again, showing it to the class. Though I prefer a Magnum Research Desert Eagle 50 Action Express myself. It just has a stronger recoil, though it's more my style. He slows down to slowly instruct the class on gun assembly, and then they watch in horror, awe, interest, and a conglomerate of other feelings that Snipe can't distinguish. The boy finishes, then puts the ear protection on and smiles. Bang, bang, bang. This goes on, and then click. Midoriya drops the ammo cartridge in an instant, letting it fall to the floor before slamming another magazine in and firing another 9 shots. Then he unloads it, turns on the safety, and places it back into its case. The recoil on this gun isn't bad. I think you'll have a lot of fun learning with it. The class is stunned in silence. It only gets worse as Yagi-sensei arrives. Ah, hello, Snipe-san. I was informed that you were doing your gun lecture today, and I thought I would pop in. He smiles. Yagi had asked Snipe, just shrugging and said, do whatever you want. And well, Yagi-sensei. Midoriya looks delighted. The rest of the class is still stunned, staring at the gun, though a few are looking at the target that only had bull's eyes. Are you going to be teaching revolver mechanics? The boy is practically beaming, and Snipe forces his eyes to the hero. The man smiles sheepishly. I wouldn't want to take over Snipe-san's class, young Midoriya. This is his class, if you recall. He looks fondly amused, however. Plus, I recall you and I already had this chat. Snipe slowly meets the hero's eyes. The man does have a case. A gun case. Why does All Might have a gun? Then why did you bring your Model 350? He accuses skeptically. Midoriya looks like a beast with his fangs dripping over a meal. He looked scarily like Nezu. Young Midoriya, the man lightly chides, but there's a fond exasperation in his tone. You know as well as I do that Snipe-san doesn't use revolvers. He only uses rifles and handguns, with only one sniper rifle. I was going to offer it to him if any students wanted to try their hand at it. Snipe stares at the two. The shock has overtaken him, and now he feels vaguely numb. He makes a mental note to reschedule his class with Midoriya, being forcefully excluded. He can admit he's a bit nervous. Yagi, Snipe speaks slowly, finally. Why the hell do you have a gun? The man looks confused at the question, like it's such a damn obvious thing. I'm a hero, just like you, Snipe. I can't always rely on my quirk, or hand-to-hand, to solve my issues, and most of my support gear breaks. You know full well how effective a bullet can be. He looks vaguely amused. Isn't that why you teach this class? So students know it's a viable option? Once my gun handling license comes in, it will be added to my costume. Midoriya chirps in delight, and Snipe's gut drops. What the goddamn fuck? Snipe, in all his decisions, looks at Yagi. Don't tell me you're a sharpshooter like your son, Yagi. He hears a mumble of, I fucking knew it, from the students in the crowd, but neither Yagi nor Midoriya comments on it. I'm not as sharp as young Midoriya, but my shot is decent. The man pulls out his gun and loads it with an efficiency of a man who has done it for years, before aiming at his target. The man only needs a few seconds longer than Midoriya to aim before the shots ring out. Damn near bullseyes. Snipe wants to cry. Because what the goddamn fuck? Why does Yagi, All Might, the symbol of peace, know how to shoot a gun? And why can he do it so well? Snipe suddenly feels bad for all the shit he has spoken about the hero behind his back. Or to his face. Can I shoot her? Please? Midoriya pleads at the hero. The hero just sighs before unloading it and offering it to the student. You know the rules. Never aim at something you don't intend to kill. Never treat guns as if they're loaded. Treat all guns as if they're loaded. Always keep your finger off the trigger unless you're ready to shoot. Always know what's behind your target and what's inside your target. The man repeats, and Midoriya nods. Snipe's gaze moves to the hero. Had All Might taught him that? Had Yagi Toshinori taught the boy to shoot a gun? The boy loads the gun with a terrifying ease, and seems to need to adjust more. His aim isn't as accurate with the revolvers, but it's nothing to scoff at. Your aim is getting better, the man grins, shooting the boy a thumbs up as Midoriya gets the safety on and unloads the gun. Now once you get your throwing knives down, I believe we'll finally be able to see and get you in darts. Finally, the boy looks absolutely delighted by this news, if the way he is nearly vibrating is any indication. Snipe takes one more look at the class before turning around and leaving. He needs some fireball. Pronto. Maybe he should have stayed in the U.S. 5. Midnight had just been sitting in the office having a passive discussion with Shota across the room. They were discussing plans for Christmas gifts in the under language. Being underground heroes, to learn the language need to be taught by a proper underground hero, or a kingpin vigilante. Purging had done its advantages. Midnight and Aizawa had both been taught in their first year by their respective hero mentors. It wasn't often to find another person who spoke the language to teach the language to another. You had to get 3 votes from people who did know the language, which made life very hard. Yamada was the only limelight hero who could understand them. After 3 grueling years of looking for approvers, not even Nedzu knew it, which is why they were using it to discuss. A series of clicks and hand gestures, signs, and twitches indicate to the language. A certain tap rhythm to hint someone was listening. A difference to show they tuned out. Maybe a new chessboard? Or whiskey? Midnight threw out. Nedzu's old board is getting weathered. Maybe. Zashi and I were thinking the same thing. They've been at this for a while. The rest of the heroes, none who have been allowed to learn, remained ignorant to the simple ignoring the 2. Tap. Tap, tap. Tap. 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. I'm tuning in. Midnight and Aizawa's posture stiffened completely as their heads both slowly turned. Sitting at a nearby table, doing what seemed to be a crossword puzzle, was none other than Yagi. He looked peaceful, but without prompting, the clicks and signs started. Subtle. Nedzu is beginning to loathe chess, since it's become too easy. He doesn't enjoy whiskey. He's been looking into champagnes and herbal juices more recently. If I suggest a game for him, I've been thinking of joining Magic the Gathering scene for the kicks. The man's eyes slowly meet theirs as he offers a kind smile. Chess only has a certain amount of moves, and with how many times he's been challenged, it gets boring. Both heroes stare at him, dumbfounded. He stares back, considering them before turning back to his crossword puzzle and mumbling something under his breath. Oh, I recognize this one. Young Midoriya and I were discussing biology the other day. A lukutate that ingests and destroys other cells. Microorganisms and other foreign matter in the blood and tissue. It's a Pythagorate. Speaking of, I ought to pick him up some more textbooks from Dave. He's getting bored. What the heck? Aizawa snaps, getting his bearing first. Do you know, per guessing? Hand gripping his scarf in a death grip, the hero turns his gaze, looking a bit confused, then amazed. I've been around a long time, Hellraiser. If knowing the language wasn't enough, knowing his per guessing name? You and Sirenese ought to understand, with age comes experience. Aizawa wants to make another reply, but a knock at the door interrupts the man. Wordlessly, the man picks up his bag and heads out to meet a familiar green mop of hair. Yagi-san, Midoriya greets with a wide smile. Ready to go? Of course, my boy. The man smiles back fondly. I'll be out in just a moment. I just need to gather one more item. The boy nods, smiling and turning the corner. Yagi turns right to him at midnight. He's still poised to attack the man, but silently passes him and grabs a small tea off the counter. For a moment there is silence, and Aizawa doesn't think the man will say anything, but to his shock, Aizawa-san? The man's voice is soft. Not weak, just low, blank. I understand what my reputation is, but I've treated you all of my coworkers with the respect you deserve. I am a hero just like the rest of you. A slow glance. I am not stupid, Aizawa-san. So please stop acting like I'm just a blubbering idiot you have the misfortune of dealing with. And the man turns to leave the room in silence. +1. You think they'd figure it out by now, Izuku muttered as they walked. Toshinori raised an eyebrow to his successor. What, my boy? You. Izuku's eyes meet Toshinori's fondly, and he sighs. Midoriya is observant beyond his years. Of course, it makes sense. Us, I suppose. Nedzu figured it out rather fast. Nedzu doesn't care about my reputation, he shrugs helplessly. I show my signs too often for him to miss. He plucked you out just as easily. I did try to play my innocent card, Izuku whines, but it gets so boring. I'm this close to going back out on the streets. Izuku, my boy, Toshinori laughs fondly. You know I'd support you if you went back to being a vigilante. But you do understand that if you announce it so loud, someone will figure it out. It technically wasn't vigilanteing, Izuku argued weakly. That just makes Toshinori laugh harder. Toshi, don't laugh at me. If you recall, when I used that excuse, Nana grabbed me by the scruff of the neck and made me into her successor. He laughs at his son. Toshinori takes a breath before starting his impression. Look at you, you scrawny little thing. And to think that you're the kingpin of vigilantes right now. Look at you, little Hercules. He laughs at the memory. Izuku laughs right alongside him. What was it you said to me? You're so small, and you bite so much. I think you'd make a fine hero. What a funny little vigilante. Nice to meet you, Bloodhound. Izuku makes the face and all. But legally... Yes, vigilantism is the unlaw of use of quirks in crime and privation. But we can still be arrested for battery and assault, he gently reminds. But if you decide to go back, please give me a heads up so we can move your items out of the dorm and back into my apartment so I'm not sneaking around like a creep. Deal, the boy smiles. Oh, also, while we're out, can we pick up some more textbooks? I finished the one on biology, and they're so interesting. There's more... There were other reference books that I'd like to read. The mutter began. Of course, my prince of nonsense. Toshinori ruffles his hair, gently stopping the mutter storm. Ice cream, then we'll head to the bookshop. The boy smiles fondly. Tapping. 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Thank you for believing in me, Hercules. Toshinori smiles at his successor. He couldn't be more proud. Thank you for being who you are, Bloodhound. Aizawa stood there, staring at the door. It was a bit before. All staff members, please report to the conference room. We have a short meeting. None of the staff hesitate. Meetings like this happen all the time. Within 3 minutes, everyone is in there, with the exception of Yagi and Majima. Where is that blonde buffoon? Ectoplasm mutters under his breath. Aizawa's mind lingers on the comment that Yagi had just said. I am not stupid, Aizawa-san, so please stop acting like I'm just a blubbering idiot you have the misfortune of dealing with. How many times have they done that? Little comments here and there. Most of the time, when Yagi wasn't around, they only referenced him as the blonde buffoon, or reckless idiot, or some variation of stupid. Guilt had begun to creep up the hero's spine as Nedzu finally spoke. Ectoplasm? He cut in. His smile was slightly too sharp. That's why we are here. Is he getting fired? Vlad asked, almost hopeful. Nedzu's blank mood plummets into irritation as all the doors in the room lock with his whiskers twitch. All of you are blind and stupid, he says sharply. The only ones I can completely absolve of guilt in this situation is Hasashi and Inu. Yamuna looks to his former sensei unblinkingly. Inui just huffs. They both know something. I am only going to say this once. His gaze lifts. I hired you all because you are meant to be empathetic. You are meant to be kind and understanding to those who walk different types of lives. Dangerous. 13 looks away. Snipe stiffens. Sexualized. Midnight looks down. Monsters. Ectoplasm and Cementos look hurt. Weak. Lunch rush winces. And villains. Aizawa and Vlad don't meet each other's eyes. Weren't those the words that lived under all of you for so long? Nedzu looks hurt. He looks disappointed, and it's far more painful than any of them expected. You've all treated me with the utmost respect, but I'm beginning to think it's fear, not respect. Your treatment of Yagi led me to this. Several eyes look up. He had treated all of you with the utmost kindness since he arrived. He's asked for help, and worked hard to get to work here. He was offered a job permanently here by the Hero Commission, yet he came to me and asked what he could do to obtain a job through my requirements. He is a respectable and kind man, and you have all stomped on him consistently since he arrived. Nedzu's eyes don't meet theirs. He's wanted nothing more than to join you all, and all you've done is shit on everything he's worked for. Can you blame us? 13 looks stressed and guilty. He just doesn't consider anything. He is learning, 13. Nedzu snaps back sharply. He has been a hero all his life, but after protecting Japan with his life, all he wanted was to raise the next generation of great heroes. Nedzu rhythmically taps his claws against the table. I recall when you joined us, your first class ended with 7 students in the hospital. Learning to teach is much harder than simply doing. Silence for a moment. Then it was Inu who spoke. He asked me if he had done anything wrong. The gruff man barks. And what he could do to fix whatever he's done. I admit I couldn't think of a single reason. He's kind despite all he's seen. He offers help. He's the pinnacle of a hero. I don't understand why you all treated him like you did. His reputation. All eyes move to Aizawa. He desperately wants to shrink away, but the realization hits him. He needs to take the punishment for the crime. He's never shielded away from accountability. We all, his gaze shoots past his husband, almost all of us fell for our biases, including me. Can you blame us? Vlad snaps at the table. The man acts like a bumbling idiot. He acts like a character, Vlad. Hasashi speaks. His voice is cool and level. He does the same thing as me, but none of us know him outside of school. Hasashi's fingers tap as he looks up. You still say the same things about me. I'm not one for confrontation, but being underestimated is always an advantage. But I'm me. I have support systems in place. Do you think a man like Yagi does? Aizawa considers what he knows about the man. Gran Torino, his former mentor, the man terrifies him. Night-Eye, their relationship broke off years ago. Tsukashi, friends, but the man is busy enough. Aizawa knows completely. Outside of that, he doesn't think of a single person. Guilt dwells further, and he doesn't allow himself to shy away from accountability, like some of his peers. He never liked hiding from issues. I owe Yagi-san an apology. It's blunt. It's honest. For being an asshole. Even with his reputation, I shouldn't have acted the way I did. I let my preconceived notations get the best of me. And it isn't the first time. Nezu looked pleased. He supposed that's why the rat likes him so much. He's been told he was wrong so often in his life that he learned to take accountability. It is better than blind ignorance. He's the #1 hero. Even if he wasn't, the man is becoming a great teacher. He never deserved the scorn. You can't be serious, Aizawa, Vlad sputters. Aizawa raises an eyebrow in challenge and pulls out his notebook to start drafting an apology. He's always been awful with unplanned conversations. I am. He notes his husband's pleased expression. It's not like I wasn't a fuck-up in my first few years of teaching. Just because he's a limelight with a cool quirk, doesn't say anything about his life or experiences. The pen slides across the paper. It's unfair to him to hold him to such a higher or lower standards, due to the things he cannot control. Nezu smiles fondly. Well said, Shota. Aizawa works at the scratching at some points in his apology, while most other people in the room look dumbfounded. It's Midnight who speaks next. He confuses me, she confesses, leaning forward. He doesn't act how I expect. I feel like he should be another endeavor, but... She trails off. He knows things limelight heroes normally don't know, or refuse to acknowledge. He can dance around a gun like no tomorrow, Snipe adds. Yagi has a lot of experience, Nezu chuckles fondly. But I do suppose I can add some information, but before I do, he looks around. All of you owe me a 10,000-word essay on the dangers of quirk prejudice in heroes. Shota, Inu, Hisashi are the exceptions. Never hurts to refresh, Shota mutters, flipping to the page to make a note to check on the statistics before returning to his apology draft. Seriously? Darn it, why? Shit. It's Hasashi who huffs in irritation. Because. He levels his eyes with the room. Assholes have no place in heroics. His voice is sharp, a way that usually doesn't come out, and the room goes silent. Majima never made a rude comment. Nezu pipes in. Which is why he also isn't at this meeting. He, Yagi, and Midoriya consistently meet up to discuss support gear. Isn't All Might infamous for not using it? Cemento scoffs a bit. All Might can't use it, Aizawa corrects. He knows that one. There aren't a lot of tools or things he could use to hold his power. They break, and it'd be a waste of resources. Except his gun, Snipe adds blandly. Huh. His what? That was ectoplasm. His gun, named Melissa. Nezu nods. After his goddaughter. Hisashi actually coos at that bit, and Shota pauses before turning to Snipe. Is he a good shot? Scarily good. Aizawa makes a note that in his apologies, adding to the things that All Might should be credited with. Learning to shoot is no easy task. He hated guns himself. Returning on track, Nezu smiles. I'd like to remind you, Yagi Toshinori has been a hero for the majority of his life. 43 years he's been a hero. Longer than most of you have been alive. 43 years? Inui mutters, a bit confused. He's 55. That implies he started being a hero at age 12, Nezu. Well, yes, the stoat chirps. Before Yagi was a hero, he was a vigilante. He actually continued his vigilantism through UA, completely disconnecting Yagi Toshinori, the vigilante, from All Might. He was always bright in a social and political setting, even if he struggled academically. A long pause. Yagi-san was a what? The room rang out. Yagi was a late bloomer. His quirk appeared in his second year of UA, the principal replied. And before that, from age 12 to 25, Yagi was the vigilante known as Hercules, the kingpin. A yen could have dropped on the other side of Japan with the silence that came from the bombshell. Aizawa paused to think about it for a second, before sketching down in his notebook under a vague note of apologize for thinking he wouldn't know my name. And continuing to raise apology, it did connect a lot of dots. That explains him teaching Midoriya never fighting. Hisashi sighs. Nedzu looks even more gleeful. Suspicion grows. Nedzu? Snipe asks worriedly. Why is that your face? Well, you all owe an apology to Midoriya Izuku, because he's done the same thing, and you all seem to think he's stupid. This time, Shota, you are also exempt. The room looks even more confused. Midoriya Izuku wasn't accepted into this program through pure heroic points. He was given a recommendation spot due to his position as the vigilante and information broker known as Bloodhound. Silence. 13 faints. I think you should all reevaluate your biases before you reconsider your position at my school, because as it stands, a sadistic grin, Toshinori Yagi has more potential as a teacher than any of you. It's quiet after that. Shota is the first to stand. Bloodhound, he hums. That does connect a lot more dots. Probably owe an apology to that brat too, but my pen is out of ink. Need a new apology pen. Perhaps. Nedzu leans forward on his hands, looking at the other staff members. You should follow Shota's lead, because he seems to be the only responsible one among you. Hisashi follows his husband. Toshinori breaks into a sneezing fit at the ice cream parlor, which concerns everyone into thinking he's having an allergic reaction to his strawberry sorbet. Izuku soon follows. Toshinori arrives at school the next day with a single apology letter on his desk from Aizawa, attached to a textbook and a note. You mentioned getting books for the problem child. If he wants a head start, I found some older textbooks about thermodynamics law. I got you a few more crossword puzzles, too. Sorry about being an ass. You're doing good. Aizawa. The letter is much longer, much more in-depth, and Toshinori can't help but smile. He lets Izuku read it as well, and the two enjoy the book together, Izuku reading and paraphrasing it, while Toshinori listens along and adds the occasional thought. Okay, and that was Raised in the Underground. Written by Social Nobody, read by the Viridian Ghost. That's a longer fic than you would think. I actually had to record this over multiple days, so if you notice a difference in my voice, that's probably the reason. Anyways, this is the Viridian Ghost signing off. See you guys next time.